Can you break down the serious situation here at Michigan State for us? And let's just cover this a little bit before we get into the show.
Yeah, so last night USA Today dropped a very in-depth report where they had interviewed Brenda Tracy, who has gained prominence in the last decade as a champion to help get rid of sexual misconduct on college campuses. Basically, that she was alleging that she had been sexually harassed, as well as some sexual misconduct by Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker. It's a pretty in-depth report. I would suggest you read it. It's pretty detailed. It details a lot of the Michigan State investigation. And then earlier today, Michigan State put him on leave pending a Title IX hearing on October 5th. And so for now, Harlan Bennett will be acting head coach. Mark Antonio is going to come back and work in sort of an assistant, be around and help out capacity. And it's a messy story. It's a shocking story. And it's one that is going to spawn a lot of conversation eventually. I think right now, as we sort of still wait for kind of all of the facts to come out, it's important to kind of stay grounded in that. But there's not a lot of stories that literally sort of leave me just flabbergasted, and I think this was one of them.
Yeah, I couldn't believe just open that up. I think it was probably about midnight local time for us last night, right? And honestly, credit to Kenny Jacoby from USA Today, who has been an excellent investigative reporter for them over the past few years, especially in college athletics. This was, it's worth pointing out, this is not a new revelation to Michigan State in any way. Yeah. This was submitted by Brenda Tracy back in December. And so it's been a long and complicated process since then, hearing coming up here next month. But it certainly does raise questions about, Mel Tucker coaching the first two games for Michigan State.
Yes.
Why does the punishment get handed down today when this is something that, they were aware of, but the public wasn't?
Yeah, I believe they got the report that essentially all of the details that were in the USA Today report, they got July 25th. Today at their press conference, Michigan State Athletic Director Alan Haller was asked kind of about why now. And his answer was interim measures were in place, and those interim measures have been updated. Initially, there was no contact with the complainants, and then also increased oversight from me of the program, but then also the coach. So it's an ongoing process, and we update those interim measures as we receive information. I don't see a lot of coherent thought in any of those words.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't hear a coherent answer for why because I'll be honest, when I read this, I said, he's going to be fired by Monday. You can't continue on with him. And I don't understand how an administration can see those same details. And we're here, 8 weeks, six weeks since they got those. And he's still your head coach until it goes public. And then all of a sudden you react and suspend him and clearly start heading down the track to fire him and figuring out if you can fire him for cause and get out of that $80 million contract. You're clearly headed down that track less than 24 hours after it goes public. So it's from the beyond the issue with Mel Tucker, the administration has a lot of questions.
And you never want, I'm certainly not trying to say apples to apples by any means here. You never want to compare these things, but it does remind you a little bit of Northwestern where, it does seem like once the public kind of gets a hold of the information, then there's a different momentum to that stuff. And it's hard to envision a scenario. Obviously there's a lot of facts to sort out, but it's hard to envision a scenario where Michigan State can move forward with Mel Tucker.